And again, as many people are waking up to the news of a draft stating the Supreme Court could strike down Roe v. Wade, so a draft opinion, we are hearing reactions from several people this morning.
Yeah, we are joined now by Ederlina Coe. She's a professor at the University of the Pacific. She teaches reproductive rights and justice. Professor Coe, first of all, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you, and good morning.
Good morning. So, of course, with your experience in this area, if the draft turns out to be the final decision, what impact do you think this is going to have on California?
Well, if this draft becomes the final decision, it will overturn the constitutional right of women to decide whether or not to have an abortion. That's going to overturn 50 years of precedent, beginning with Roe versus Wade. But that doesn't mean that abortion becomes illegal throughout this country. It means that the individual states will decide. California is a state that will continue to protect this decision. It's protected by the California Constitution as well as state law.
So one of the other big headlines coming out of this is the unprecedented leak of this opinion to the public. And what are the repercussions of that leak? I mean, we've never seen this before, but what could be the backlash when it comes to the fact that it was leaked and the repercussions from that?
Well, it will be interesting to see. The Supreme Court historically has been secretive about its deliberations, and this is because sometimes votes change. Certainly sometimes language of the opinions change. What people don't realize is in 1992, when the court decided Planned Parenthood versus Casey, that decision almost overturned Roe versus Wade, but Justice Kennedy switched his votes during deliberations. And so that's part of the reason that the court is private or secretive about its deliberations. The judicial decision-making process, judicial writing, it changes votes. So yeah. We'll see.
So, I mean, they sign confidentiality agreements, the people that are involved, the few people that know about these opinions before they become public inevitably. If that person was found out, could they face any consequences?
I'm sure there will be consequences, and I'm sure there will be an investigation within the court to determine how that information got leaked.
Gotcha.
One other question here, Professor Coe. Let's talk about the impact on health care, right? So do you think that should this become the decision, should this then change, the law across the country, that we will start seeing people kind of take things into their own hands? We had a lawmaker tweet out about a personal story about his relative who died trying to do an abortion. Do you think it's going to ultimately lead to more issues as it relates to health care?
Yes, if this decision becomes final, the decision will be up to the individual states to decide. And although California will continue to have legal abortion, there will be about half the states that will not. 1 in 4 women will have an abortion in their lifetime. What we know from history, what we know from other countries, is that women will go to great lengths not to be pregnant if they don't want to, regardless of whether abortion is legal. So yes, I would anticipate an upswing or an uptick in the number of women that you see trying to self-manage abortion or deciding to carry a pregnancy to term. Criminalizing abortion, as we know, does not end the practice. It simply makes it more difficult and potentially more dangerous.
So we heard the president talking about wanting the public to elect more pro-choice senators, more pro-choice politicians. I mean, we heard from Governor Newsom last night talking about his stance on this. Do you see California passing some more stringent abortion laws if Roe v. Wade were to be overturned? In addition to what we already have?
I don't think it's necessary because our court has already decided that the California Constitution protects the decision, but it's possible that you will see California making some policy decisions that will be supporting women from other states coming into our states for abortion care. They are already having discussions about additional funding to absorb the impact of women from other states traveling to our state. So yeah, California, I think Governor Newsom made clear that California will be a sanctuary state for abortion care.
Professor Coe, thank you so much for joining us this morning and sharing your perspective. Of course, folks at home, this is something we will continue to follow here throughout the day at KCRA.